There's something about basketball in the 90s that just hits different. It was an era of grit, glory, and gods and sneakers. When legends made plays that defined greatness. No social media, no super teams, just hard work, heart, and a history in the making. This was a golden era of clutch shots, unforgettable rivalries, and some of the coldest moments the league has ever seen. There was no fluff, just pure cinematic drama. From buzzer beaters to miracle performances, the NBA Finals of the 1990s delivered moments that carved themselves into basketball's soul. Today, we're reliving the 10 most iconic NBA Final moments of the 90s. The performances that made fans jump, scream, and believe in the impossible. These moments were the sources of endless barbershop debates. Whether you watched them live or caught the highlights years later, these plays from the 90s still give fans goosebumps today. Number 1. The Flu Game. MJ's iconic Game 5 heroics. It's Game 5 of the 1997 NBA Finals. The series is tied 2-2. The Chicago Bulls are in Salt Lake City to face the Utah Jazz, and something's wrong with Michael Jordan. He looks exhausted. He's sweating profusely. Every step seems heavy. Unfortunately, it wasn't a case of good old tiredness. Michael Jordan was sick. Not tired, sick. Jordan was dealing what was believed to be the flu, but later reported as food poisoning. Doctors had advised him not to play. He was drenched in sweat, visibly weak, leaning on Scottie Pippen just to stay upright. But this was the finals, and MJ wasn't wired to sit out when everything was on the line. Despite being visibly weak, Jordan stepped onto the court and delivered one of the most awe-inspiring performances in NBA history. He dropped 38 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and dished 5 assists in 44 minutes of play. This was a mythical performance by all standards. Every shot he hit seemed impossible. Every defensive rotation took effort most players couldn't summon at full strength. But MJ powered through. With the score tied in the final minutes, Jordan buried a clutch three-pointer that gave the Bulls the lead. He practically willed Chicago to a 90-88 win. The image of Scottie Pippen holding a drained Jordan off the court became an instant classic. Today, it's still etched in NBA history. Number 2. The MJ vs. Barkley duel. 1993 Finals, Game 2 Shootout. The 1993 Finals featured one of the greatest one-on-one final showdowns ever. The world watched Michael Jordan go toe-to-toe against Charles Barkley. Barkley had just been crowned the league's MVP and led the Phoenix Suns to the best record that season. But MJ had something to prove. In Game 2, both superstars went off. The intensity hit peak levels. Barkley dropped 42 points, 13 rebounds, and threw his weight around like a true power forward king. But Jordan answered back with 42 points of his own on 18 for 36 shooting, complete with turnaround fadeaways, fast breaks, and dagger jumpers. It was a slugfest, back and forth. The energy in the Chicago Stadium was electric. That night, it became clear that this finals wasn't going to be easy. Jordan had found his match, and Barkley wasn't backing down. At one point, Barkley bullied his way through the paint for a vicious and one. Jordan answered on the other end with a turnaround jumper that barely touched the net. In the closing minutes, MJ took over, hitting mid-range dagger after dagger. The Bulls won the game 111-108, and although this series would go 6 games, this performance set the tone. Number 3. Bulls dominate in overtime. 1991 Finals, Game 3 thriller. Before the Bulls dynasty truly began, they had to beat a legend, Magic Johnson and the LA Lakers. In the 1991 Finals, Game 3 was the swing game. The series was tied 1-1. The Bulls had never been this deep into the postseason. The Lakers had Magic. The pressure was suffocating. It was a tight game throughout, with Magic racking up triple-double numbers. He hit 22 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds, while Jordan countering with his own brilliance, 29 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. But when the game went to overtime, something clicked. The Bulls supporting cast stepped up. Horace Grant hit key buckets. Scottie Pippen played lockdown defense. And Jordan, always the closer, made the right passes to his open teammates. MJ had 29 points and 13 assists. Pippen added 22 points, and they simply out-hustled LA at every turn. This was a masterclass in clutch defense and transition basketball. The Bulls pulled away and won 104-96, stealing the home court advantage. That win shifted the series. This was the moment the world realized Chicago wasn't just MJ. They were a complete, title-ready team.
Number 4. Kenny and Hakeem save Houston. 1995, Game 1. In 1995, the Rockets were defending champions, but entered the finals as underdogs against a young, flashy Orlando Magic squad led by Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway. Game 1 was a thriller. Orlando was in control early. Penny was dropping dimes, and Shaq was dominating in the paint. But Kenny Smith, Houston's point guard, caught fire. Smith hit 7 3-pointers, a finals record at the time, and finished with 23 points, helping Houston erase the double-digit deficit. With seconds left and Houston down 3, Smith drained his 7th 3 to tie the game and force overtime. Then, with the game tied in overtime, Hakeem Olajuwon, the heart of the Rockets, tipped in a missed shot with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. Game over. Final score? 120-118 Rockets. That tip in silenced the Orlando crowd and set the tone for the series, which Houston would sweep 4-0. Number 5. Paxson's Dagger. 1993 Game 6 clincher. By Game 6 of the 1993 Finals, the Suns were fighting to force a Game 7. They led by 2 points in the final seconds. Jordan had carried Chicago all series, but in the final play, he trusted his teammates. With just 15 seconds left, Jordan passed to Pippen, who swung it to Horace Grant. Grant found John Paxson wide open at the top of the key. Paxson launched that 3. Swish. Bulls lead 99-98. Phoenix had one last chance, but Grant blocked Kevin Johnson's layup at the buzzer. The Bulls won their 3rd straight championship, which was the first three-peat of the Jordan era. Paxson's shot was the kind of moment that makes finals history unforgettable. Number 6. Twin Towers dominate. The 1999 Finals marked the end of the 90s and the birth of a new power. Game 1. Spurs vs. Knicks. The Twin Towers arrived. Tim Duncan and David Robinson controlled the paint like sentinels. Duncan posted 33 points and 16 rebounds. Robinson added 13 points. The Knicks couldn't breathe. The Spurs won 89-77 and never looked back. That night, San Antonio became real. This is where their dynasty began. Number 7. Kobe's clutch DNA shows early. In the 1998 playoffs, at just 19, Kobe took bold shots in big moments. He airballed 4 times against Utah and owned it. By Game 4 of the 1999 Western Semis, his game was maturing fast. Throughout the NBA Finals of the 90s, Kobe's fearless shot selection and crunch-time confidence hinted at was what to come. When his Finals debut came shortly after in 2000, he lit up the court. With Kobe, it's always been less about the shot and more about the presence. The 90s final planted the seed for the clutch king he'd become. Years later, in Game 4 of the 2000 NBA Finals, when Shaq fouled out in overtime, the game's fate suddenly rested on the 21-year-old Kobe's shoulders. Kobe scored crucial bucket after bucket in overtime, silencing the hostile Indiana crowd and leading the Lakers to a 120-118 win. He finished the game with 28 points, including 8 in the extra period. Here he was a kid barely old enough to drink, telling Shaq, "I got this," in the huddle, and then delivering. This was a performance. It was Kobe Bryant announcing himself to the world as a cold-blooded closer. Number 8. Paxson seals the three-peat. 1993 NBA Finals, Game 6. In 1993, the Bulls were one win away from their 3rd straight championship. The Phoenix Suns, led by Charles Barkley, were doing everything to push it into a Game 7. With 14 seconds left and the Suns leading 98-96, the Bulls had one final shot to change history. Michael Jordan drove into the paint, drawing defenders like a magnet. Then, with the eyes of millions glued to their TVs, he kicked the ball out to John Paxson, wide open beyond the three-point line. Paxson let it fly, nothing but net. That three-pointer gave Chicago a 99-98 lead and sealed the game. It wasn't MJ or Pippen who made the final shot. It was the calm, veteran role player. Paxson's dagger clinched the Bulls' first three-peat and showed that sometimes it's the unlikeliest names that make the biggest noise. Number 9. MJ's iconic layup. The 1991 NBA Finals, Game 2. The 1991 Finals gave us one of the most replayed highlights in NBA history. Even if you're not a basketball fan, you've probably seen this layup. Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals, Bulls vs. Lakers. MJ takes off towards the rim, switches hands midair, and gently lays it in with the left. This was way bigger than highlights. This was art. The move stunned everyone. Even Magic Johnson, watching from the Lakers bench, could only shake his head. It was a perfect combination of flair, timing, and precision. This was Jordan's first finals. The pressure was sky high, and in that moment, he delivered something unforgettable. That layup symbolized the changing of the guard. Magic had ruled the 80s, but now, it was Jordan's time. Chicago won that game and went on to win the series 4-1. MJ's switch hands layup became the visual signature of his first championship. Jordan had arrived, and the torch for Magic Johnson was being passed in real time. Number 10. The Shrug Game. 1992 NBA Finals, Game 1. Game 1 of the 1992 NBA Finals. Bulls vs. Trailblazers. Michael Jordan wasn't known for his three-point shooting, but on this night, he became something else entirely. He hit 6 three-pointers in the first half alone. After drilling the 6th, Jordan turned to the broadcast table and simply shrugged. It was the ultimate, I don't even know what's happening moment. The Bulls dropped 66 points in the first half, and Jordan had 35 of them. This was one hot shooting night that would go down in history as unforgettable. The Blazers were supposed to be the biggest threat to Chicago's crown. Instead, they were buried under an avalanche of jumpers. Jordan's shrug didn't look like arrogance. It seemed more like disbelief at his own brilliance. That moment became the symbol of how unstoppable he could be when the game bent to his will. Chicago went on to win the game 122-89 and eventually the series. But Game 1 was the masterpiece. The 1990s basketball gave us what other decades could not. It gave us stories, legends, and unforgettable drama. This was the 90s. Raw, real, legendary. Every NBA Finals game defined childhoods and inspired futures. There were chapters in basketball's greatest book. And whether you grew up glued to the TV with your dad or discovered these highlights years later on YouTube, these moments live on. Because in the NBA Finals, everything is on the line. And the greatest rise to meet it. What's your favorite NBA Finals moment of the 90s? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again for more videos.